Get excited. Hi, this is Chris Manley, host of Resumes for Children Radio, and it has been such a very long time. I've taken a break since way before Christmas, and I just want to thank you again for listening to this segment. And on this segment, we're going to be talking about teaching children to learn from the elderly. I wrote an article teaching children to learn from the elderly on Hub Pages. So if you visit my another online home, www.hubpages.com, and type in my name, Christine Manley, you can read about it. And so let's jump right in here and get started. I'm sure, like me, you remember visiting your grandparents, and I really enjoyed both sides of my mom's and my dad's grandparents, but excuse me, parents. But one in particular, I love my father's father, who had a bald head. His name was Grandpa General, and my grandmother, Elnora. She was really sweet, and she had really long, shoulder length, thinning silver hair. And I remember just combing through her hair and feeling her soft hands. And I really enjoyed listening to them and hearing them talk about old times, where they came from, listening to about old recipes and about old fashioned remedies and about things that they miss in life. Just sitting down with them, sitting at their feet and listening to them talk and cook and just having such a wonderful time. And it was a blessing, definitely, to have my grandparents. They're both sets, they're gone now. But I remember them vividly, and I can really picture their faces when I think about them. But today's families, since the economy's been really bad and people have lost their jobs, they've been bunking up together, as I say, to save money and to even draw closer together. And that's a good thing for families to do. And I think as families bunk up together and they're drawing closer when they're living together, the children, and especially younger children, they're able to spend more time with elderly relatives. And they can also see how to take care of and even participate in the care of an elderly relative. Kids are so inquisitive and they like to ask a lot of questions. And I think that they should be encouraged to spend time with and talk to elderly individuals, or I call seasoned individuals. But let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed that a young child might shy away from an elderly individual? Well, I'm sure you have, because I have too. And I just want to pose the question to you. How can we teach our children to gravitate and learn from the elderly? Well, let's think about a few things that could help our children and even help us as adults to gravitate and learn from our elderly relatives and elderly individuals. Well, one thing that we can do, there are assisted living housing. We can volunteer at this assisted living places, housing, and we can take our children with us. In doing that, we can read to the elderly and also allow our children to read to the elderly as well. I think that would be a really good start. I remember, and I think there still is something called Meals on Wheels for individuals who are sick and shut in. Well, if you deliver meals to the elderly, I would take your child with you so they can learn how to serve and just encourage others. There are also organizations that provide visiting pets several times a week to assisted living housing. Volunteering with that organization and bringing your child with you is definitely a plus. Another way to encourage our child to learn from the elderly is that he or she can become a pen pal to an elderly person. And I think this is great. Who doesn't like getting letters? One time I did something out of the ordinary. I live with my mom lives with me, and she's elderly. I wrote her a letter, and I mailed it to her. And yeah, you heard me. She lives with me. And guess what? She wrote me back. So I really would encourage children to become pen pals to an elderly person. I also believe that when children grow up around elderly individuals, there will be less of what I call a disconnect between generations. And what do I mean by a disconnect? Well, I will say our young people or our youth won't lose interest in our older generation. The attitude of, someone else will take care of the elderly. I think that will be less prevalent among our youth as they mature. And hopefully this would make them step up and care for their elderly parents or an elderly relative. I think our youth will gain respect and compassion for the elderly. They won't shy away from elderly individuals because of physical differences. Also, our youth would realize that someday they will be an elderly individual as well. And young people don't think about that. We just think we're like Superman and that they'll live forever. Well, not so. I believe our children should be taught that elderly individuals possess wisdom and knowledge, which can assist them to live wisely. Our children can learn what mistakes not to make in life by listening to individuals who have been living longer and have experienced what our children will experience someday. As a child, I know that I avoided many, many mistakes by listening to my elders, and I am so, so glad that I listened to them. And this segment is very short, very brief, but I just wanted to share that wisdom with you, share how we as adults can teach our children to learn from the elderly. Again, this is Chris Manley from Resumes for Children Radio, and I just encourage you to listen to upcoming segments, and you be encouraged. Have a good, good year, and I will see you next time on Resumes for Children Radio.